This conference will now be recorded.
The bios, not the bylaws.
Are you going to give me questions? Are you going to give me questions?
Great.
So what have you been besides the dog park?
I'm sorry?
The family and things you've been doing?
No, not
I
bylaws.
just, I had, I've been standing down in front of the post office. I
I'm
wish I
sorry.
would stayed.
Oh, that day?
The biographies of the candidates. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a long day.
You have meetings or you're just catching people down?
The head gardener, she's talking.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening. I know we're interrupting some of your happy hours, but it's for a good cause. Tonight, we have our candidates that have so graciously thrown their names in the hat to run for the board for this term. We have 3 positions open. We have the positions of Steve Deal, Marie Beshen, and Becca Paulson that will be finishing up this year. So we've got 4 candidates for 3 positions on the board. Each candidate will be asked different questions this evening, and then I will ask questions first, and then I will open up to the audience, and if you have any questions, you can come forward. Okay? First, I'm going to ask each candidate to introduce themselves and state why they feel they're the best candidate for the board of directors. Tonight, I'm going to start first with Brad.
Can we stay seated to answer the questions, or you want us to?
That's entirely up to you.
Oh, I'm Brad. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I'm Brad Midkiff. I am. Okay. Was that who I think it was? It is. I'm Brad Midkiff. I'm in lot 1201. I've been here for 13 years, and I feel it's the need to pitch in, see if we can make some changes, start uniting people a little bit. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Fred.
Hi, I'm Fred Rand. I have unit 2211 and 2149. And I'm here to make our lives better, improve our quality of life, and get a lot of input from you on what we need to do.
Thank you.
I'm Greg Sherman, 1253, president of the Pet Club. I've been working with homeowners association, property management companies, architects, contractors for the last 40 years. And so I think that, makes me a good candidate to run the property here.
Thank you.
My name is Cliff Giroux, and I have 2189 and 2159, and I love working with people, and I love listening to people, listening to what they would like, and getting to that extent and better.
Thank you. So again, I have a stack of questions here. I'm going to ask each candidate a different question. If they were asked the same question yesterday morning, they will not be asked that same question tonight. So how I've done that is I've marked who I've asked the questions to yesterday. First question is for Cliff. Cliff, what would you like to see the board accomplish during your first year on the board?
I would like to see the board come together and work together to satisfy every one of you folks that have a lot in here. To work together with transparency, and so you know everything that's going on.
Thank you. Brad, Do you support Happy Trails investing in an electronic key card system for residents to use for access to the pool, buildings, bathrooms, laundry, clubs, etc.?
It's kind of a hard one because it's going to be expensive, and that we can lose them. We lose our car keys. So I'm not really a strong proponent for it because I think that we can self-discipline ourselves.
Thank you. Fred, name one of the Happy Trails governing documents and what the purpose of that document is, where it is in the hierarchy of governing documents.
Well, I have not yet been able to read the documents, but if they're anything like being in business, how you manage your company and the people that are in the company. Also, I forgot to tell you, I am a full-time resident here now. I've owned property for a while, but I am here full-time.
Thank you. Greg, this is a twofold question. And if at any time, if you need me to repeat the questions, just let me know. Greg, name one thing that you would change about Happy Trails. Why do you want to change it, and how would you go about changing it?
The one thing I'd like to change is I would like to focus more on the maintenance of our buildings. Some of the buildings, Cascades, some of the other buildings are in pretty poor shape. And I would like to change the focus from some of the fun stuff to more, saving our property, saving our buildings. And I guess I would enact that by not doing some of the fun stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Cliff, how do you see your role of a board member compared to our management team?
Could you repeat that?
Yes. How do you see your role of a board member compared to our management team?
Well, as part of the board, I believe we would actually work with the management team to reach the goal that everybody's looking for. If we don't have a say-so in that, then the management team would just kind of take over everything, if I'm not mistaken. But I think we need to work with the board. The board needs to work with management and come to some good conclusions on everything, work together.
Thank you. Brad, what are some ideas for improving our safety, security, and patrol?
Well, I think that we need to be more conscious of our habits in the resort, driving, stopping. I think that's the biggest safety issue that we have right now, is that we don't pay attention. And like most I live on Dale Evans, and that's the freeway. So I think people need to take more action on trying to slow down and watch out for people, because there's a lot of people that do walk out there, and I don't want to see somebody get hurt.
Thank you. Fred, how many board meetings have you attended in the past year? Did you participate virtually in any of the meetings during the off-season?
I've attended roughly about 8 of the board meetings. The committee meetings I got involved with, but not much in the board. Lots of times when you go to these meetings, you're there to observe and listen, and in some cases, you're not allowed to say anything.
Thank you. Greg, this is a twofold question for you. Have you ever been elected to the board of an HOA in the past? What position did you hold? How many homeowners? If you have been elected to the board, are there any major accomplishments you would like to share?
No, I haven't been elected to a board. I've been elected to the pet club. So, I wouldn't know where to go with that question. I've never been elected to the board. The Pet Club, I've been president of the Pet Club for the last 2.5 years. $6,000 worth of murals, $1,000 worth of trees, $1,000 worth of misters. Oh, a pet wash if anybody uses it. So I kind of enacted a lot of things there. I would hope to bring that same enthusiasm to the board of directors here. People wash.
Thank you. Cliff, it's a long one, so let me know if you need me to repeat it. Participation in the various standing committees is at an all-time low. Most committees are at about 50%. What is your vision for standing committees, and how do you specifically plan on improving committee participation?
Well, I've gone to a few of the committee meetings while I've been here, and they have been very low on participation. I don't understand why. This is our resort, and if we want to make change in it, we should really go to those meetings. I encourage you people to go to them. You find out a lot of information there that you wouldn't normally see. May get sent out to you in the mail, but how many people really look at it and go, yeah, I like what they're doing, or I don't like what they're doing. We need to get involved in everything here. I think it will make Happy Trails great again if we do.
Thank you. Brad, what do you see as a concern for our community, and what steps will you take to achieve positive results?
Well, just like Cliff was saying, participation. A board cannot do it all by themselves. They need input and guidance. And those people in the, like the DRC and all the committees, they don't bite. They actually enjoy some input. So I think that would help a lot to solve probably a lot of our problems. So it's just participation.
Thank you. Fred, what is the function of committees?
To me, the function of committees is to find out what the concerns are of the owners of Happy Trail, and to work together to prioritize which ones are the most important and work on them first, and then let the management team that runs Happy Trails to manage these things and get them done. We need to have people at the committee meetings, as the last two gentlemen were speaking. We do not have enough activity. We hear activity out there, rumors and concerns and negative statements, but we need you there with us to change things, to let us know what's going on. That committee needs your support, needs you there, because all they're doing is trying to figure out themselves what you're really wanting, or maybe something is being done that you don't want done. We need your support. We need your help.
Thank you. Greg, what do you think is the 3 attributes an applicant should have, or 3 things they should know to be a good board member?
Tough question. Self-driven. Someone, self-driven. Being new to the resort is always a good thing, because you kind of have fresh eyes, around the resort. And, just basic drive, the problem that committees have with getting people, and clubs have the same problem. We couldn't get the restaurant under volunteers, because it's just hard to get volunteers. So you have to be really aggressive about, talking to people, trying to get people involved with what we're doing. The more people you talk to, the more ideas you come up with.
Thank you. Cliff, what is the greatest strength you bring to the board?
Wow. Well, I've been a leader in a lot of different businesses that I've worked in, but my greatest strength comes in the Lord. It's just what is inside of me that comes out, and how you respect people. You can come against conflict with courage and perseverance. Not give up, you know. Don't blow a gasket, but just, you know, handle it in a peaceful manner. That would be my greatest strength.
Thank you. Brad, explain the relationship between management and the board, and how do the HT employees fit into this relationship?
Well, there has to be a mutual understanding between the board and management to work together to come up with these solutions. And I think that the board and the committees do the most work, and then we take it to HomeCo to implement and follow through with it, or help us follow through with it. So it's a tight relationship. It should be anyway.
Thank you. Fred, what changes would you like to see in the next 3 years for the resort?
Probably the biggest change I'd like to see is us all come together as like a big family. I know we don't always agree on everything, but if we would really, really work with one another for our best interests, for Happy Trail's best interests, to improve the quality of life, whether it be making the shrubs and the trees prettier, the irrigation better. And also, you know, we get a lot of emails and stuff. I think that's oversaturated. I think there's things that we can even improve in that to each and every one of you. The way we present it, the way we do it, how many times do we do it? It gets redundant after a while, and some people don't focus on it and don't change. But the biggest key is all of us coming together and helping one another to improve our lifestyle.
Thank you. Greg, how would you maintain/upgrade Happy Trails facilities without raising dues?
Without what?
Raising dues.
Well, I think that we've raised the dues 15% in the last 2 years. So if we went this year without raising dues, I don't think it would affect the property at all. My understanding is we had $500,000 to kind of do extra things with, pool chairs, courtyard chairs, restaurant, you know, some of those things. And my understanding was, Steve said at a meeting a while ago that next year we would have about $800,000. And so I think that we have enough money to move forward without raising dues, and we could still improve the property.
Thank you. Cliff, it's a long one, so let me know if you need me to repeat it. A long-term plan has been researched by surveys, focus groups, etc. A limited amount of the plan items have been implemented. What is your view of how to accomplish moving the plan forward?
Well, I think we need to really take a look at the budget constantly, adapt accordingly. I mean, if we have to raise dues to keep everything going, I think we need to do that. We don't want to lose what we have. We don't want to see things go downhill. We want to improve them even more. And I think that if we can do that, we'll have a whole lot of happy people and whatnot. But if we don't have to raise them, I know that would make a lot of people happy too. So it's just a matter of balancing the budget and doing the best we can.
Thank you. Brad, you're in the hot seat. How would you enforce the speed limit and stop sign violations?
I was really hoping I wouldn't get that one. Well, the problem that we've got is that we have no way to enforce. Patrol is not policemen. So my thought is that we need to control ourselves first and start paying attention to the walkers, pay attention to your speeds, and drive like you're in your own neighborhood. Like I said, I live on day 11, so that's not happening, unfortunately. So I think that we can do it ourselves, police ourselves, and try to improve that considerably.
Thank you. Fred, explain the difference between the bylaws and the CCNRs.
Well, the way I understand it is the bylaws are the rules and regulations that we have here in Happy Trails, but the CCNR can override those if they want to. And that's the way I understand it. I could be wrong, but, you know, it's very important, and I really haven't had the chance. I've read through them, but really read them and take time. I haven't done that yet. I very much plan it. I have them with me. But we have to improve who is controlling what. And the big thing is we need you people to be in control too, not just the committees or the board. They need help.
Thank you. Greg, I got a long one for you, so let me know if I need to repeat it. Many HOA training programs are available in the Valley. Programs like Board Training and Development, HOA Academy, and Maricopa County HOA Training. Will you commit to attend one or more seminars this first year?
That's it. Didn't seem that long.
Okay.
Yeah, HOA, yeah, I would commit to going to an HOA training program. It's just going to help when it comes to, you know, making motions and knowing, you know, if we're approving something, knowing where the funds would be coming from and those sort of things with checking account and stuff. So yeah, it seems logical that I would do that. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Cliff, how many, just need a number, documents govern Happy Trails?
How many documents?
How many documents govern Happy Trails?
I really can't answer that. I have no idea.
Can you name any of them?
Pardon?
Can you name any?
Well, the CCNRs are one of them that govern it, and
Okay.
the bylaws are governing. I can't think of any other ones besides those two, though. That would be it.
Okay, thank you. Brad, did you attend last year's annual meeting? That's the
No.
question.
Sorry.
Fred, what do you see as the most pressing need of the resort, and how would you propose the board address it?
I think the biggest thing is the rumors we have going around here. As long as we got rumors, it's like a cancer. You'll never get well. So what we need to do is we need to get, I hate more committees, but get a group of people that will come together and we can share with the people that live here what's going on, what are their thoughts, what are their concerns, and how can we change it. Now, you may have 20 different items. Maybe there's only 5 we can get to, the most important. But the thing of it is, we have to come together. You know, as the Lord said, we're supposed to love one another. You don't have to be in love with your friend or your neighbor, but let's help one another grow in this community and make it better than what it is.
Thank you. Greg, what's the first thing you hope to accomplish if elected to the board?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, be on time to the meetings. Um, I guess the first thing, the first thing that would be important for me would be get with the existing board members and finding out where they're at and what they have in the pipeline, to try to catch up with what's going on and what we're trying to accomplish at that point. So I guess that would be my accomplishment right there.
Okay, thank you. What are your ideas for reestablishing trust between residents and the board?
Between who and the board?
Residents?
Residents and the
and
board. Transparency. We need to be able to, you all need to be able to trust the board and the decisions they're making. Nothing back around the corner and nobody knows about it. We need to be transparent. If we get on the board, we need to, work together, share the things together, and pass things together.
Thank you. Brad, from a business perspective, what areas of operation need review?
Mostly maintenance. They need to be supported a lot more than we have been, because they're the ones that are keeping our facility together. And they need as much help from us if we can, and make this a lot better, make it easier on them.
Thank you. Fred, this is a long one for you. As of the last reserve fund report, the percent funded is just short of 48%, with a dollar value of $4.2 million. In the coming year, discussions will begin as to what is an acceptable low limit for the fund. What is your thought on either percentage or dollar amount? Yes, I will. What is your thought on either a percentage or dollar amount? You want me to read the whole thing? Yes. Okay. As of the last reserve fund report, the percent funded is just short of 48%, with a dollar value of $4.2 million. In the coming year, discussions will begin as to what is an acceptable low limit for the fund. What is your thought on either a percentage or dollar amount?
Well, before I could really give you an honest amount, I would have to see what are the expenses of this facility. Do we have a lot of waste? Are we spending money on things that are really not important to you? But I think as far as a percentage, I think we need to get that somewhere in the 30s. I think that's too much, 47%.
Okay, thank you. Greg, what motivated you to want to join the board? Was there a specific issue or something you would like to see changed?
Is what motivated me to join the board was Ron Woodward. I sat with him for a year and a half before he passed up in the dog park every single day. And he pushed me to run for the board a couple years ago. And as he was getting sicker, he told me, he said, someday you're going to run this place. And so I've always kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And I am a good boss. I'm pretty friendly and I allow people to kind of do their job. So I think I'd be really good at it.
Thank you. Cliff, how would you improve communication between the board and residents?
I think an open line of communication. If we could, emails, share the emails, phone numbers. I would be open to anyone having my email or phone number to contact me if there was a question about anything. And I think if we can build up a relationship that way and trust one another, share the goals, share the thoughts, I think it would be a blessing to the whole community.
Thank you. Brad, if you could make one change at Happy Trails, what would it be?
Just to bring the family together. We're going in 14 different directions. Like it was brought up, there's a lot of rumor mill going on, and we need to stop that and start becoming one so that we can live out our lives in peace and happiness that we've all hoped for.
Thank you. Fred, while our name is Happy Trails Resort, many residents call it a park. What are your thoughts on this?
I've had this question before, but I'll do it again.
No, sorry.
Okay. One thing I do want to say, you know, we talk about the board not doing this and not doing that. Just as well as you as owners here that live here, you have your concerns, you hear the rumors. They also have a job to do that they don't get paid for. And we need to find out what their concerns are, what they want, whether they want more input from us, because you know, they're sitting out there kind of on this island trying to figure this out and do what's right. But we have to let them know also, because they struggle too.
Thank you. I realized I read that question to you yesterday. I'm going to give you another one.
Okay.
What clubs are you a member of, and are you active in their meetings and activities?
The Billiard Club, and also I'm on the committee with landscaping. I'm on the committee with safety. Let's see, I can't remember the rest of them, but I've only been here this year. I've started full-time here, so I'm trying to get involved and do more and help. Wherever there's a meeting or a committee, I try to go and learn, because knowledge is everything, you know. If you don't have any knowledge, you're not going to get anything done.
Thank you. Greg, how would you resolve a disagreement between owners?
Getting in between two people that are mad at each other is pretty difficult. However, if you ask each person the conclusion of what it is that they want, if someone's television is too loud or some such thing, you can talk to the person with the loud television and ask him what he wants. And then you can ask the people that want the television quiet, or ask them what they want. And at least is what you can do at that point is start a conversation between the two of them. Sometimes everybody's so dang mad at each other, it's not going to help. But you know, strictly talking to them, trying to start a conversation and ending the argument.
Thank you. Cliff, while our name is Happy Trails Resort, many residents call it a park. What are your thoughts on this?
To me, a park is where you go down in off of Bell, and you go to the park down there, you walk around the lake, and you see people walking their dogs there. This isn't a park like that. This is a resort where people have invested their time and their money into this resort. So it's not a park. Yes, we have pools to walk around, or lakes to walk around, but this is so much better than a park. It should never be called one. This is a wonderful resort with wonderful things here for us to enjoy, that we need to take advantage of. We need to enjoy everything that's in this resort. So Happy Trails is it. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. Let's see. Brad, what are your ideas for encouraging involvement of residents in the community?
Well, I'd like to say free pizza, but I think it's an individual thing. It depends on, my philosophy is if you want to complain, you better be willing to do something about it. And that's part of what the board is that's why some of us are up here, is that we've seen the complaints and we want to resolve it. So I really feel that each individual should take a look at what they want out of our resort and then contribute, because it can't be done by ourselves. The committees are doing their best, but they need input.
Thank you. Fred, what do you feel are the differences in the responsibilities and roles for the management versus the board?
Well, I think the board is here to help us try to decide how we're going to improve this area and do the things that you want, that are your concerns, and improve them. But I think management's job is to run the resort, to take the things and do what they need to do, whether it's getting a contract, getting somebody in. Our job as a board is to find out what we can do to change things. One other thing I want to add too, if you got somebody that's a friend of yours and complains all the time about this or that, ask them, say, what can I do to make your complaint better? How can I improve your concern? Sometimes that helps. They just want somebody that cares. So you might try that.
Thank you, Fred. Greg, tell us how you would improve communication between management, the board, and residents.
I think that if you're visible and willing to talk to people, so I go to the swimming pool, so I know people in the pool. I play pickleball, so I know people over there. I obviously spend a ton of time at the dog park, so I know people there. And so if you're actually, as a board member, if you're visible on the property and willing to talk to people, you know, then you can kind of get your point across, and they can ask you questions at that time. There's 3,000 people here, so you might not make it home, but it's really important to just be visible. If I'm sitting on my front porch, I have people stopping by all the time, you know, dropping dog food and talking to me. And so I think being out there, we have board members right now that some people can identify when they see them. And I think that should change. I think they should just be more in the public, involved with the clubs and the rest of us.
Thank you. Okay, I've concluded my questions. We're going to take a short 2-minute break. And I ask if any of you have questions for either one of the candidates or all 4 of them, please come up and we'll start lining up here. Let's hit them with some questions, people. Thank you. You guys can't make it this easy on them. Come on, let's get some questions up here for them. Thank you.
Bruce Miller, Lot 23. We have an internet problem. Management has been trying to get this service taken care of. In your research or committee meetings or knowledge of the area or of the contract, how would you remedy this problem, continual problem for management as well as the residents? All 4 of you.
As I looked back through BGM's meetings, I noticed like in 2001, there was a proposal for $100,000 to upgrade the telephone systems. And I think that it was upgraded in 2002. But when I had a conversation with Mike Nyes, apparently the wire that was used wasn't adequate. So I'm not positive about exactly what has to be done to upgrade it. You know, I know that we have Comcast on the property, but we might have to, you know, put a new line in down the street or something like that. But that's kind of what I was talking about, you know, maintaining the property, you know, making sure that those things are done. Buildings, you know, sewer, water, that kind of thing, making sure that stuff is working.
You know, it's the resort is kind of like us. Each day we're getting a little bit older, so is all the stuff around the resort, the piping, the wiring, the drainage. They have issues. Uh, I myself, what I would do is try to get some companies to, while you're trying to repair this, get some bids, get competitive bids with one another, and find out what their suggestions are. One company might tell you you need this, this, and this. Another company might say you don't need that, you need this. So I think it's good to have competition. I've had it all my life, and I think it's good to get some ideas and bids, and then the board can put it all out there and figure out what they're going to do.
What we've got going on now is kind of a critical issue for our phone communication because we can't call certain areas that are important to the front office and also patrol. So as far as knowing what's going on, I'm not in the middle of that. I don't know. I haven't dug into it. I've tried to stay on top of when things come back online, like our internet. But for some reason, our phone system just has been a problem. So I don't know if we need to just go ahead and bite the bullet and upgrade or try to repair what we have, but that seems to be taking a long time.
Well, after being in the construction industry for 46 years, when something starts breaking down, you don't keep trying to fix it and fix it and fix it. You fix it and do it right. You replace it. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. You can spend more money trying to fix it and not get it taken care of and still have to replace it. So it's just better to do it, get it done.
Donna 379 was, by the way. My question is, I heard a rumor, I'm going to start it. I heard a rumor that one of you want to put trees on everybody's lot. Is this rumor true? That you want trees on everybody's lot?
Yes,
That's you?
that was me.
Okay, so this is my personal comment to you. You're Fred, right?
I'm Greg.
Greg, I'm sorry, Fred. Greg, you come and dig the hole. You take care of the tree. No fruit trees. I'm highly allergic to bees. And you water it. You take care of it. You can put a tree on my lot. Otherwise, there's not going to be a tree on my lot. I have no plants on my lot. And a lot of people don't have plants on the lot just for that reason. Okay? My husband can climb up a tree and trim it. I'm certainly not going to climb up a tree and trim it. So I think you need to rethink that one. Also, the person who said that they don't want key fob things to be able to, Brad, okay, to get into things. I was at the gym, and there was a gentleman there that didn't live here, who didn't have anybody that lived here. He just heard it was a great place. And I told him he didn't belong. And somebody else, I am pretty sure somebody else said the same thing, that they didn't belong. But you know what? Key fobs is a good thing. Believe me, I've lived in complexes with key fobs, and it does keep the riffraff out. So that just being said, thank you very much, gentlemen. Good luck to you.
May I address that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a commercial landscape contractor,
So was I.
and there's no trees on the property, and it kind of bothers me. It wasn't a proposal, it was a wish. When you look down Tumbleweed, and you look straight down Tumbleweed, and there's literally no plants. It's road, gravel, buildings, and trees, soften the corners, and they just make things beautiful, like you're driving down a parkway. I understand why people don't have trees. They don't want to clean up the leaves, and they don't want to deal with it. It's just, for me, it was a personal thing. It's a suggestion. I think I suggested that to Marie last year, and it's just a suggestion, not a proposal, not anything that I would drive home, because it's your property. I understand that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I was also I also owned a landscape company. Do you know what the biggest gripe I have with my beautiful happy trails? Is the fact that they don't strip their palm trees. You strip those palm trees, it takes care of the pigeons, it takes care of scorpions, it takes care of all the bugs, and a tree lives longer. And by the way, palm trees are not trees, they're weeds. And they are, seriously, they're weeds. But so I get it. I get the trees make places beautiful, but I also see how ugly they are with all the pine trees that are around. I walk a lot, and there are pine needles everywhere. When they start dropping, nobody cleans them up. I get what you're saying, and I do love green, but there are reasons why people don't have them on their lots. Okay.
So let's try not to, these are their opinions on these questions. They are answering from their heart and how they feel that it is. It's not a proposal. It's not, we're going to do this or that. It's their opinions. Okay, so let's remember that when we're asking them questions.
My goodness. Marie Beshen, Lot 900. Last night we touched on traffic a lot and the speed limits and the traffic signs and so on and so forth. And Brad touched on a little bit tonight. So I'm going to put you all on the hot seat a little bit. We do have a critical problem here in Happy Trails with speeding and going through stop signs and stuff. We've had people hit. We've had both pedestrians and in vehicles where people have literally been hit. What I'd like to propose to you, it was brought up yesterday that by a couple of you, I believe, or at least one of you, that the idea of bringing in an outside person, an outside person to maybe traffic monitoring and maybe taking pictures and writing down license plates and even if we write tickets, which is not a bad idea actually. I don't have a problem with that, and creating fines for that. And again, not a bad idea actually. But the fine situation, which I don't expect you to know about or understand. So let me explain one thing about fines. You have three types of people who receive fines. You have the person who pays it and adheres to it and says, gee, I paid the fine and I'm sorry about what I did and I won't do that again. And then you have a person who pays the fine and says, heck, I don't really give a rat's about that and I'll do it again. And you have the third person who does not pay the fine and feels, oh, well, too bad, I'm not going to pay the fine, and does it again and doesn't pay the fine. And like a number of people, this is their last home, they're never going to move again, and when they don't pay the fine, after umpteen times or whatever, it's put a lien on their property. And they don't care because they're never going to move again. That's their last property. And you can lien it all you want because they don't care. They die and whoever gets their home after they die, they deal with that lien. So now you've got two people that have fines against the situation that either keep paying them and keep doing it and don't pay them and keep doing it. So how do you deal with that, gentlemen?
Well, the really, and I think I brought this up last night, the really proper way to deal with this is to bring in a security company that has the ability to control that speed. The other thing too that I think about is that when I come in, whichever gate I come in, I consider myself coming into a bubble, and I need to slow my life down, slow my car down, and just go through and watch and make sure that nobody. I almost got hit the other day in the morning when I was walking my dog down Dale Evans, and I was just the person that was driving it never even slowed down. Matter of fact, I think she kind of aimed. So, but if you want to speed, go outside. Don't come in here and do it. Don't be in a big hurry. Fines, yeah, it's just like we were saying. You can fine people till the cows come home, but we need to do a lot ourselves and grow up and realize that a lot of us are in here to slow down. We're going fast enough towards that end. We don't need to be pushed.
I think that we should take the time, and I know the board's got lots to do and there's lots of committees, but put some of this stuff out on bid. There's a lot of companies out there that want additional work. Their company isn't big enough, they're wanting more revenue, but they're not going to charge you to come in and try to earn your business, or else they're a company you don't want. But there are lots of companies, me being in the automobile business 50 years, I would solicit companies, I'd get 3 or 4 bids, we talk about it in our owner meeting and discuss which way we're going to go. 90% of them worked out. 10% didn't, but that's the way life goes sometimes. So I think there's probably some of this stuff, like you bring a company in here that's managing this, they may have a better remedy than just fine them. They may have another avenue or another idea. And you know, the thing of it is, I think I'm pretty smart. I've got a lot of ideas, but you know what? There's a lot of smarter people than I am, and they have more ideas than me. And that's what we're talking about, is trying to get input from other companies that are in these situations and understand.
I think we ought to have a police officer come on site and just talk with us and kind of explain to us what our legal action would be. You know, we don't have anybody, I mean, how are we going to enforce a fine on anybody just being a resort? I don't think it's going to work. If we had a security company, possibly, but then they're going to fight that too. But if we get a police officer in, we could find out what our legal rights would be and go from there. If that means, you know, having one come in, I mean, gosh, I know what you're talking about with cars going too fast in here. I listen to them every night, and it's getting old.
I'm looking at the budget. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. It'd be hard to hire a company because last year it looks like our total fines were $4,700. So we're not going to be able to hire anybody and offset the fines with that little bit of money. We're always going to have difficult people. There are people, we're going to end up living with them. Debbie and I grew up in a little town, Spirit Lake, Idaho, and there was a couple of guys that drank way too much, and we owned them, right? They were always there, and it's just, we owned them, and just part of the town. So you're never going to get 100% compliance. This issue with the traffic has been going on. The stop signs has been going on. When I looked back, like 2002, it was this exact same conversation. And so I think that we should lower our expectations to think that, you know, we're going to get 100% compliance on it.
Thank you for your comments.
Roberta Ernest, Vice President of the Board of Directors, Lot 712, Lot 996. First, I want to thank all 4 of you for running. It is not an easy task, and you are definitely in the hot seat. So, my question to you. The 4 of you have been known at one time or another to chastise the Board of Directors for not addressing the speeding or stop sign violations. Yet here you are, yesterday and today, telling everyone it is up to them in the audience and homeowners to work together to abide by the traffic rules and regulations. in order to make it better. How do you justify the difference now that you're sitting in that seat as opposed to sitting in that seat?
I've never complained about the stop signs and the speeding. I've never noticed it to be a problem, and I'm out all the darn time. I hear that it's a problem, but it hasn't affected me, and since in the 3 years I've lived here. I see that there's things that we could do with larger words, stop and that sort of thing, but I've never complained about the stop sign. I know that it's an issue that is just redundant, and so we could pay money to try to stop it, or we can kind of lower our expectations, you know, and because we're never going to get 100% compliance on it. It's just never going to happen.
This is the first I've ever heard about the speeding and stuff since I was here for this meeting and the one 2 days ago. Wasn't aware there was a speeding problem or people not stopping or anything like that. So I really can't answer that. But one thing, I know we have security at the door where you come in the gate, and we have other security, but I don't know exactly what does it cost us, hundreds of thousands of dollars to employ these people and pay their insurance and Social Security and pay everything. Can you get a professional company for less money that would come in? I just am saying we should have ideas instead of just keep working with what we've got. Can we improve in some way by getting information or recommendations from outside sources? And it would be something that you may not have to worry about anymore.
Well, I've been complaining for years, and I'm not pointing it towards the board. I'm frustrated because of the road we live on. People, it's like they don't care. They really don't, that go down that road. There's a lot of you that do care. I can see the big difference, but there's got to be, before somebody gets hurt bad, there's got to be something done, whether it's to not have patrol and have security, or, you know, whatever suggestions. Speed bumps are not an issue. They can't happen. I mean, I'd spend more time underneath the golf cart than I would on top of it. So, and the fire department and the ambulances cannot tolerate that. So we have to come up with a solution, and there has to be suggestions to do that. But like I said earlier, is that we need to self-regulate ourselves first. That's the cheapest way to get through this. And to discuss, like at patrol, when they have a vendor come in, tell them, hey, we're really picky on the speed. Please watch your speed. The bingo club was going to do that last night. So we just need to get it out there that people need to slow down. We're watching.
Well, first off, I have never chastised a board member for not handling issues with speeding cars. Secondly, I live right on, well, I face right on Happy Trails Boulevard. And we were here last year in January, February, and I didn't notice it near as much as I do this year. The traffic and the speed on Happy Trails Boulevard is ridiculous. My wife can tell you, I get frustrated at night because I can hear them roaring up to the stop sign and then taking off from the stop sign. I don't know what we can do about it. We have to do something though, because sooner or later somebody's going to get killed in here. And I don't want to see that happen. So I mean, if any of you guys have suggestions, it would be, you know, put them in the box. Let us read them. We're not going to throw them away, but you know, we've got to know what other people might. Somebody out there might have a better idea than we do. You know, we're not at the top of our game, but we've got to handle it. We've got to get it taken care of. It's important.
I thank you for that. I'd like to leave the four of you with this. The board of directors position is not one of just name only. There's a lot of research that is done on a regular basis. There are some of us that have come on here on the board having experience in the past. You admitted, the four of you, are coming on without that experience in the past. I ask you to do your research. Some things, such as Google, will actually tell you the difference between the bylaws and the covenants. And it's very important that you understand the hierarchy and what each of those documents, which is state regs, bylaws, covenants, rules and regs, and the DRC guidelines and newly adopted club guidelines. Those are all very important that you read them and understand what purpose they serve to Happy Trails, because without them, we're dead in the water. Thank you, gentlemen, again for applying, and good luck to all of you.
Hello, I'm Dory Hockey. I'm at 710, and I want to know if you think that we should be like every other resort and bring us up to speed, like move the wagon as you come into Happy Trails, which has been welcoming people for years, and take it down to where the Christmas tree was, changing it and maybe putting them up some horses or something like they have everywhere else. I like it here. When I first came here, I think that we have the youngest old people, right? We are the youngest old people, and it's affordable. It's affordable to come here. We have a cheaper HOA than a lot of other places, but we own our property. And there's a difference there. Younger people might think it's only $50 more a month. Well, for some people, that $50 more a month is a ton. How do you get information out? You have bingo with a lot of people there winning lots of money. You could have somebody making hey, guys, we need to start slowing down. People could say stuff when we have an event here, and you got those people out here looking at one of the shows. We could say something there. We need to slow down. We could have a sign. Where's the best place to put sign here? In the mail room. Slow down, you guys. Come on. See, I'm just saying things I've been thinking about. So, palm trees. When I bought this place, my place has palm tree there. I was shocked to find out that it's right out in the front because it's there. I have to pay to have the guy trim it up. What do most of you do if you got to pay to do that? What are they doing, folks? They're cutting them down. Is it that bad for our landscaping people to start trimming and getting them up to us? Doesn't take long to have somebody go up and cut it. One of my biggest gripes, I don't know, I'm not really versed on a lot of stuff, but when I got the thing about meet the candidates in the email, it says, click here to find more stuff. What do you get when you click there? Do you get a little document that you can read right away? Or do you have to download an app on your phone? All these 80, 85-year-old people, I'm sure they're downloading it right away. But all you have to do is just have the information right there and keep it simple. Can we simplify some of that stuff? I tried getting on Engage, but they wouldn't engage me. So I don't know. I was pretty unhappy about that. And I guess really one big one for me is, what are your positions on the dump? I was really upset when they, shut it down. You can only be there at certain times. If you're in the evening, you're in trouble. Why can't we change that around a little bit? People are much more respectful as they go up there now. And I'm so thrilled that they have an area now that they're putting things that you can go up and get. I mean, how many of you ever dumpster dived in all your years here? And you went up there and found something that you could work. It would work for you. It works for you. and you don't have to go buy it then. Our landfills are filling up, folks. And it's not for us because we could care less, but your grandkids are going to be paying the price for all the landfills we're having there. So I've rambled, I've spoken my piece. I don't know how you're going to respond. I mean, are we going to move us up to what everybody else is like? I like it the way it is. I like the comfy feeling. Well, thanks for listening.
I agree with you. I love the resort. We moved here. We bought the house online because we found out the amenities. We actually didn't set foot in the house. We love the amenities of the resort. We like the resort itself. We didn't have a restaurant when we moved in here, so I was really excited to see the restaurant go in. The dump, yeah, I'd like to see the dump 10 to 2, 5 days a week just to make it easier. You know, I don't know. The trees, you know, you only pay $85 to have your tree pruned once a year by the tree company. And they'll come in and for $85 they'll prune that.
That's a lot of money. 85 bucks?
Okay. And okay, I get that. And keeping the property as the same, I agree. I love it. You know, I like what we have here, but I don't mind adding new. You know, the new chairs out here in the patio, they look fantastic. You know, I can't take my dog out there, so I don't get to use it, but they look fantastic, you know. So I don't mind upgrading at the same time with keeping the old. I get it.
My wife and I started 5 years ago coming here, and the reason we came here, her parents live here. They've been here 17 years. They're 86 and 88. And we came down to see them. We got involved with the community here. We feel in our hearts this is a great community. We love the people. We've acquired a lot of friends. We share a lot of life together, and even Greg. But it's a great place to live, don't get me wrong. And I'm not coming here running to be on the board to change a bunch of things. All I want to do, if I can make it better, and make it better for the board, make it better for the people, that's why I'm here. I'm not here, I quit an 80-hour-a-week job not to go working again. But I love the people, I love the community, I love the resort. It's a great, great place to be. And I just want to help improve it.
You know, originally we were in Seattle, but we came from Washougal, Washington, which is down by the river. But you would be surprised how many people know about Happy Trails. This isn't a hidden secret. Everybody knows about it. And they brag about how awesome it is down here. So, I mean, you know, you were talking about the dump, and I happen to know a couple of ladies that volunteered there. Very sweet ladies. And, you know, it's something that we could all do. I think we all got a couple 2 to 4 hours a week that we could volunteer and help out the community. You might even find some jewels that you want to take home.
Well, I agree with the dump. That's an unfortunate resolve that we had to do just because it was being abused. And that's just no other way to say it, but it's been abused. So at least now we have some control on it. It'd be nice if it was open 5 days a week, 6 days a week, but it all takes volunteers. And so if that's something that people want, they need to volunteer so they can go up there and keep it open. And I agree with you. I like the resort the way it is, but we have to keep it up. And that's been our problem, is that our generation has come through and the past generations didn't do their due diligence and keep things up. So it's cost us money to bring it back up. And now it's our responsibility to maintain it for the next generation.
I want to add about the dump real quick. This is very true. 2 years ago, there was a guy that rented here in Happy Trails. Well, you know, he got the little monitor on his truck, and he could go in and out when he was renting. Well, a year after he wasn't here, he built a new home over on 303, and guess where he was putting all the scraps from his house? He told somebody here, they told me, and I told him he couldn't do that. But he was coming in because he got in because of his monitor, and he was throwing stuff in there. So if one's doing it, how many more people are doing it that we're not aware of?
Dory, when you were talking about an app, I'm not a big app kind of guy. I like the calendar on my refrigerator. And Thelma will probably hate me for this, but it would be cool to have Thelma print us out a calendar, because she sends us a bingo thing, right? Just a little 30-day calendar that I could stick on the refrigerator that I looked at and said, oh, this is what's going on today. But nobody likes paper anymore, you know? And but it's really a handy thing. And Debbie does her bingo every morning, and they give her a calendar a bingo every month, every week. How often do they give you that calendar for bingo, or the bingo card? Once a week? Yeah, so you get a couple of them. So, Thelma, if you're in here, I'm sorry.
Okay, I think we all have to realize we have a lot of older than I am, old people here. And to have to do stuff on the computer, like that Engage thing, that's beyond them. And that takes away their ability to, I don't know what it is, participate, or how do we keep people down? We keep them ignorant. Well, come on, let's make it easy for anybody to get information. What if somebody else got that information that doesn't live here? Who cares? You know, I mean, but Engage, nah, I don't want to do it. I'm tried, but I couldn't. And at least also you can, I'll quit. You're giving out paper ballots. That's great. Thank you.
Gentlemen, my name is Steve Funk, and I'm on 1282. I want to thank you for volunteering to run for the board. The three of you, if three of you are elected, I would like to talk to you again in 3 years and see how your experience has been. I guess I'm pretty sure I can tell you how it's going to go, because it's gone that way in every board that I've been involved with over many years. Have any of you been part of a homeowners association?
Yes.
Just one?
I have.
Okay, just one of you. Could I ask you what your homeowners dues were at that last homeowners association you were in? How much did it cost you a month?
I don't know. I was renting a condo in
Okay.
the homeowners association, so
Okay.
it was included in my rent.
All right. Well, most homeowners associations that I've seen over the past, none of them have been less than $500 a month. And I know that some people in this community will balk at that, without a doubt. That's a lot of money. But this community that we have here has 5 hot tubs, 4 pools, 27 pickleball courts, horseshoes, not 27, let's just say 20, but many and many and many of amenities over and over and over. That's why we live here. It's a wonderful place to live. None of that is free. In this state, coming from Washington, that I had to move out of because I couldn't afford my taxes at $15,000 a year, my taxes on my lot here are about $800 a year. It makes it very affordable to live here. My point being, I heard you talking about not raising homeowners dues because $216 a month is enough to be able to do all these things. Does anyone know what the expected rate for insurance is going to be here next year? You don't have to answer that. I doubt that you know. But I can tell you it's going to go up over $25,000 a year. Do any of you know what the electrical rate is going to be next year in Arizona that they've passed? Any of you know what that is? It's well over 3%. How about the water and sewer? Things that we have to live with in this community. They're going up like everything has done over the last 4 years. Anybody that thinks that 4 years ago it wasn't better or less expensive hasn't been living in the United States. Because they're talking about eggs being $9 a dozen right now. They're all going up exponentially. And you're talking about not raising homeowners' dues. I want to ask each one of you, where are you going to get the money?
I was simply asked a question. If we didn't raise homeowners' due, where would I find the money? We actually didn't say we weren't going to raise homeowners' dues.
That's what I heard.
And you understood that?
I understood that there was no, we don't need to raise the homeowners' dues. I might have been wrong.
It was a question posed.
Then let me rephrase that and say, what is your acceptable limit? Specifically, not a feel-good question, specifically, how much will you allow your homeowners' dues to go up over the next year or the next 3 years that you're in office?
Well, when I had to do pay increases for people, my customers, inflation is generally 1.5% to 3% a year. It's somewhere in that area on an average.
What's it been the last several years?
It's been terrible. Okay. Right. So if you raise your people 2% a year, you tend to stay within that realm where you're staying even with inflation. Some years you might fall behind, some years you might increase a little, very seldom, but low is 1.5, usually high is 3%. And so 2% is acceptable on a yearly basis. Now, depending, like you said, if we have other issues, then we may have to raise it. I'm not opposed, and we have a 6% maximum in our CC&Rs right now, which is fantastic. Homeowners dues in Maricopa County average at about $275 a month. Now, homeowners dues in Surprise average about $350 a month. However, we're not a housing development. We're different. We're a resort. We have a lot of big bills when everybody's here right now, but when everybody's gone, the bills are much lower. And so we get that offset. But yeah, if we stick around 2%, I guess that would be, if I had to say this is where 2%. I would be. Yeah.
Your number's 2%.
Yeah,
okay.
It would be.
Next.
Yeah.
Well, there's no question you're going to have an increase every year. Cost of living keeps going up. There's just no way you can get around it. But I know we were talking 6% to 20%. I think we just have to wait and see. We're not going to get it right every year. So we have a percentage, which I would think anywhere from 3 to 6% based on what our economy is doing. And,
could you narrow that for me just a little bit?
What do you mean, as far as a percentage?
Yes. What is allowable to you? What is the maximum allowed to you?
I think 5% is fine with me.
Okay. Next, please.
So I think there's a lot of factors involved in raising it. Percentage-wise, we've got a lot of elderly people that have been in this resort for years and have helped maintain it and grow. Do we want to really force them out?
That's your
Well,
That's
I mean,
up
there's
to the
gotta be
board
an
of
even-
directors to figure out how they're going to keep those people here without subsidizing them.
I agree, and basic without subsidizing. They've our fixed income, but the big thing is it's not really a fair question for us at this point because we're new to the board or not even on the board. So we don't know the in-depth numbers that you're looking for, to be honest with you. I mean, we could throw 2%, 3%. I'm not going to do that because I don't know.
Fair enough.
I understand what you're talking about, taxes up in Washington. They're ridiculous. We moved down here because we thought everything was going to be cheaper. Little did I know that it took us $500 to change the license plates at our car. I about fell over. So I look at it in here and, you know, we have a lot of elderly people, a lot of single elderly people that just can't afford the big raises in their dues, their homeowners. You know, if there was a compensation for those, if their income was below a certain level, that there'd be some kind of a compensation for them, so they wouldn't have to pay that much. But the rest of us that still have a decent amount coming in, you know, I understand the raises. Everything goes up. Taxes go up every year. I mean, all through here. Groceries go up. Gasoline goes up. We can't say that we can't have homeowner dues go up because it's inevitable. It's got to happen. If we're going to survive, if we're going to keep this community the way it is, we have to just put up with it to an extent. I mean, we don't want no 20%, but, you know, to where it evens out, that's good.
Okay. I have one more aspect to this that I want to bring up because I heard this mentioned earlier this evening, and that was the reserve fund. I've been involved in homeowners associations in the past. I've been the president of homeowners association. And there is a reserve study that is done in order to be prudent at every homeowners. And the whole place is surveyed, and through the formulas, it comes up and it says you need X amount of dollars to be fully funded to be able to manage your homeowners association. Right now, we're at 48%. That's what we have in our funds, somewhere around $4 million. We should have $8 million. To be fully funded, it would be about $8 million. I heard somebody say that 48 is too much, that they would be happy with 30% in the reserve fund. Which one of you said that? Can I ask you where you got that information that would be prudent?
Based on what I've seen and the expenses that we have here, I would have to get into them. What I like to do is go in, if there's any way we can cut some of the fat out, or maybe it's things we don't need, I would like to see to bring it down.
Do you know what the industry standard is?
No, I do not.
Would you like to?
Sure.
It's about 70%. So if we go to 30% from 48%, we're going to spend $1.5 million or somewhere in that neighborhood. My math isn't that great. And instead of having $6 million, we're only going to have 2.5. We cannot fund that place at that rate. You might think you can, but you cannot, because we're going to have roads to reseal, roofs to fix, all of these things that have not been done in this property over the years because nobody cares, because we are older. I understand that. We don't care what happens 15 years from now. I'm going to be gone. But I should be paying today for what needs to be done 20 years from now. That would be my take on it. I think you're off the mark.
But there's also one thing you're forgetting is that we've spent a lot of money this year, and that's why we're down to 48%.
No, sir. No, sir.
We haven't?
We have not been over 48%.
Believe we have, but we spent a lot of money.
I do not believe we have.
Okay.
In fact, I know that we have not.
Okay.
We have been working our way up to 48%, and we need to work up further.
But that's going to take us time. We're not going to do that in 1 year.
Absolutely.
And so
Correct.
we've made some major expenses for the roofs, maintenance, and everything else that is not going to be on the books next year. Our next budget year, we're not going to have to look at that money.
No, it is on the budget for 20 years from today that we need to be funding now. You won't be here 20 years, but we need to fund it now. That's my point. That's where I don't think anybody realizes what we're really doing here with the reserve fund. We're either funding what needs to be done down the road, or when we get there, we won't have it. I'm going to stop because I've gotten on a little bit of, go right ahead.
I think that we're putting in 1.25 million per year into the fund. And we just did the roads. So that's kind of what ate up those funds. And then because I think the roads were, this is a guess, but I think the roads were nearly 10 million over these last 4 or 5 years. And so that's why that fund was knocked down. But we're going to put 1.25 million in every year, you know, for the next 4 or 5 years. We should be fully funded in, you know, 3 or 4 years.
We will be spending in those next 4 years also. We will be spending, not maybe 1.25 million, but we'll be spending $1 million just on the monthly things that we have to spend it on. So anyway, my time's up. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck.
Debbie Heim, lot 1157, and we also have 1156 that is set up that we used to rent out. Okay. Just a couple of comments and then a question. When we're talking about safety, we live on Tumbleweed. We have 2 lots next to each other. And I have a small dog who does not like walking on gravel. So I walk her out on the street and then come around to the house. Now, I've had people do things like tell me, well, I'm only going 15 miles an hour down. They don't look at what happens to be going down the road, is on the road. I think it would behoove everyone to make a point of safety rather than this speed limit. People are so busy looking at the speed limit that they aren't looking at what is in the road. That was one point. Another one is I'm getting older. I have worked with computers all of my life up until I retired. And then if I can avoid a computer, that's it. Now, I don't know what is going on in all the different places. I've done my own volunteer work with dogs, I might add. But what I would like to see is some consideration of people who don't want to work on computers all the time, who aren't pushing buttons on stuff. My husband, who has macular degeneration, gets very frustrated with me because my phone looks like a disaster. And it's to a point where he won't even touch it anymore. Me, I got to go over to Verizon all the time. So I would appreciate it if, in general, if there would be a little more paper going on in places, or at least especially like notices up, be safe, you know, watch where you're going type thing. Not just 15 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour. And, you know, please, a little more paper, a little less. We got to hit the computer and do this and this and this. The last thing I have is a question, and you might be part of this. We have a very good neighbor. We have absolutely no complaints about them. But they got a bill. Somebody had gone around and taken pictures of all the lots. And all of a sudden, they get an extra $100 on their bill. And it took them a while, they got a letter. And I went over there and I looked at it once I found out their complaint. And they mistook the letter, the problem, as this problem, and it was actually this. And it was a matter of something that was in the pictures. Now, this was without warning or anything. I think penalties are great, but at least give us a warning, especially if we've been living here a long time. Let the renters know what is required. Going back to the dogs and whatever, pick up the poop as you go, that kind of thing. Let the renters know that we appreciate our resort, that it isn't just, for their entertainment and stuff, that we live here. Some of us live here year-round, some of us don't. But that's just a couple of comments that I would like to add. Thank you for listening, and good luck, guys.
I noticed one thing when I drive around the back. They have these little guys in the middle of the road, and it's a chalkboard, and they write 15 miles an hour. I think that's a great thing. I like that. I really do.
That's my green man.
Is that yours? Well, there's some other ones that aren't so green, but I think that's good. I mean, it makes people stop and think a little bit when it's in the middle. Now, if it's just sitting over to one side, they're not going to see it. But in the middle, at least it affects me when I'm driving.
Hello, Conrad Revenig, lot 1150. Couple comments and then a question for you, and it'll be a different question, so probably haven't heard this one before. As far as traffic goes, I've noticed over the years, Washington, Arizona, whatever, South Carolina, that signs and lights and people talking to other people and stop signs and all that kind of stuff, that's not going to change a thing. People have habits of the way they drive, and you can shove those little road signs up and down the middle all over the resort if you want, but it's not going to make people slow down. The thing that you have to do is come up with solutions or mitigations for traffic issues, traffic speed, running stop signs, et cetera, et cetera. It's very easy to do. Look out in the country, the states, the world. What do they use for mitigation? Okay? And some people like these, some people don't. But we've had a lot of traffic circles go in many, many places in communities up in Washington where I live, and some down here. They do different types of entrances and exits to the freeway here than they've done in other states that I've seen. I think that's where we need to go and look at is how can we mitigate traffic? And somebody brought up about the speed bumps. Speed bumps are a mitigation, and I don't like them any more than anybody else does, and I understand the emergency vehicles and that kind of thing. But those are mitigations, and so you're changing people's habits by mitigating the problem, and the way they drive will be different because they basically are forced to. But to have cops running around or security guards running around ticketing people or sending out letters, notices, all this kind of stuff, it can be done, but how are the results over the past 10 years? Because it's always been, right? So those really aren't the answers, and there's other answers out there. And I think if we studied it hard enough, we could probably find out what those are. But mitigation, I think. This one's a little different, and I'm glad a few people brought up the amenities in the resort. What are amenities versus things that you get that you have to pay for or pay dues for or pay fees for? Versus amenities. What were the amenities 20, 30 years ago or more in here versus what we have today? And are we paying for them now? And we used to get them for free as part of our dues and so forth. That's a question to ask, I think, of whoever's on the board to check out what all the nice things we have to do in here, how we're funding them, why they get funded, why they're free, why they're not free, et cetera, and then come up with a decent amount of money even if it is an amenity, maybe there's a small fee that should be paid in order to, take care of whatever the amenity is. Now, I'm sure most of you know about this, that we do have a storage area in here. And storage is, to me, an amenity of coming to this place. Yes, we do have to pay a small fee for it, but what do you get for the fee that you're paying? Since I've been in there about 7 years, there really hasn't been any upgrade or any change in the storage area at all. Very little, if anything. It's just basically a gravel parking lot and an attempt at something with some cement stones, and maybe there's a paint line on the ground or something else, but it always goes away. So is it worthwhile to have that as amenity in here, which is what I like, one of the things I liked about coming here? Or is this something that we need to fund the whole park with by raising it up to an unbelievable amount versus what it used to be? The one comparison I hear is, well, the outside is twice as much. If you go outside, it's twice as much. Well, forget that. That's the public, that's the community, that's housing developments, whatever it happens to be. This is a resort. Okay, it's different. It should be an amenity, but I'm not saying it should be free. Okay, but for it to go from, and I won't quote these completely accurate, but $400 to $500 or $400 a year, and funding it, only paying it for a 6-month period because a lot of people aren't here during certain parts of it, versus $50 or $500, $600 a year. Okay, what, except for just sitting their thing in the storage, what are they getting for that? Are there any improvements? Are there things that are being done to secure it? Are there things that are being done to make it easier to park your vehicle? There's a lot of vehicles parked this way and that way and into other people's lots because there's no real true space. So it's just something to think about. And so I'd kind of like your opinions on that.
Well, I just went down to U-Haul because I couldn't get a spot in here, and for 2 months it cost me $350. So this is cheap. In here is cheap, and so the board agreed to up it for a whole year. That was their decision, but it's $700 and some odd a year for in here right now, is what I understand, and that's cheap. It really is, and it's a parking area. It's not a campground. It's a place to park your vehicle. That's all it is.
That's not a good comparison. A camping ground and a parking spot?
Well, it's just a parking place. It's a place to store your vehicle. Now, I'm not sure what you're looking for, but that U-Haul
every
down
rental
there,
place out there is a place to park your vehicle.
well, U-Haul down there has got covered, and it's still gravel.
It's covered, right?
Yes, it is.
And they have specific areas that people park in, or specific areas in between lines that they park in. I'm not talking about massive amounts of money being spent on something or huge upkeeps or anything. It's dark out there. There's very little light anywhere. Okay, there's no lining. There's no dedication to where people are supposed to park their rigs, or can you just fit them all in between the two markings from front to back, or can you only have 2, or can you only have 4, or just whatever fits in there? Okay, a lot of that stuff isn't really. There's nothing been done about it. And I think that regardless of how much we pay, there needs to be a few amenities that's maintained, just like every other thing that we maintain within the community here.
So you're looking for line markers and that kind of stuff, which I agree with.
That's what I hear over and over and over again over the 7 years I've been doing it. Yes. Everything I've mentioned, I've heard from other people, not just me. So it's a consideration. So anybody else have a comment about that?
Yeah, I have a spot out there, and you're right. It seemed to me that when we raised it from $50 a month to $68 or whatever it was, the last raise, the board took hell for it. And but it seemed to me at that time there was mention that maybe they would put lights out there or do something like that. And you're right, nothing has happened. I think each one of us that has that spot, we need to pay for that spot because we need to pay for that spot because we control that spot. Nobody else in the resort can use it. If I have my truck on it, or if I have my trailer on it, it's exclusively mine, and therefore we should pay for it. And I think what we're paying for it, I think I can find one for $10 cheaper, but it's not here on our property, you know? And so I'm pretty satisfied with it. I'd like to see lights out there and a better marking line. They have bricks in the ground, if you've ever noticed, you know. It'd be nice to have that.
People have put those in there.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have that updated or something, but yeah, I get it.
Anything I've seen in there has been done by the person that does the lot or previous, that type of thing.
Yeah, I have 2 bricks.
I do too.
You know, if we did anything in there, you'd be expecting everybody in here to have a raise to their homeowners' dues for the small amount of people that have a vehicle in there. I understand what you're saying. I tried to get in there, I couldn't get in there. I had to go down the road and rent one for a couple of months. But it wouldn't be fair to everybody to have that put onto their homeowners' dues.
Okay, I'm certainly not stating anything that has to do with dues. Dues to have nothing to do with this. This is something that's already being paid. And when it was the price it was pretty much okay. And yes, it's cheaper. But if they're raising it, why are they raising it? Is it to fund the resort, or is it to help make that a better storage area to a degree and then help fund the resort maybe? But if there's nothing being done in there and it's all just going to another fund for something, then I don't think we're not getting what we should get as a renter in that storage area.
I understand that.
Thank you.
Mickey Aston, Lot 13. Thank you guys for volunteering to be on the board. It's a big deal. And thank you guys in the audience for caring enough to come, and those who are online. I always like to thank everybody because I do appreciate it. I've been 40 years owner at Happy Trails. Never have rented out my place. I know that was a question the other day. When we bought in, our paperwork does say park. It says Happy Trails Resort RV Park. I do call it a park, just like this is the ballroom. Sometimes it's the pack. I don't get upset when people say resort. To me, resort is kind of hoity-toity. I've been to a few resorts. I have more fun at the parks. So I started calling this a community. When I talk about it, write about it, I try to call it a community because that's togetherness. We have a wide range of residents, less than 55, and I know people who were here and they're 100 now, 102, bless their heart. I do have a question here at the end. We are not only voting on the board of directors, we're also going to be voting on the CCNRs, and I'm not going there, darling. But I have been listening to some of the board members explain things to the community that we need to be forward thinking on things. We've talked about computers, we've talked about paper, we've talked about communication. I would love for you to explore different ways that the residents would like to have their information. Ask them. Some want paper, some want computers. Forward thinking. I was really taken aback when some of the board members were speaking at the Singles Club. And they said, if we're not forward thinking, we're going to vegetate and we're going to die. And that just hit me in the gut. I don't like to have a certain population singled out. I want this to be a community. So however you can bring us together. Give me a second, I got lots of little notes. Tonight, you've had a lot of questions, and yesterday, you've had a lot of questions, and you're going to have a lot of questions before the election. There's a lot of experts yesterday and today who've been doing the job on the board, on the finance committee, on the landscaping committee, on a lot of the clubs here. They've been asking a lot of tough questions. They've also been high-fiving themselves in the audience when you misstep or you make an incorrect answer. And I hope with all my heart they get on board and become a community with you, whoever's elected on here. I do have a couple questions. Hold on. By a show of hands, I don't need, unless you want to answer me on something, are you willing to learn about the CCNRs, the bylaws, the rules and regulations, the DRC, the policy on the clubs?
Yes, absolutely.
The investment policy, the code of conduct that you're all going to take when you join this board?
Yes.
Are you all willing to learn, read, attend HOA expos or classes or whatever they go to? Look online. Are you willing to learn about all the governing documents? Because there's a lot. And I'll volunteer to help anybody talk things through. I am not the expert, but I do have it back to 1985. But all I want to know is if you are willing to give it your all and support this community. And if you're not,
Well, that's the only way that we can really do our job, is we have to get involved in the rules and regulations, and we have to do it properly and legally. So yes.
thank you, Brad.
You know, life is a journey, and a lot of us do things in life that we think, how did I end up here? How did I do this? I didn't know anything about it. I didn't go to school for this, but you became a success. What do? You learn, you take knowledge in, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You change it. That's who we are. We're people that learn to do a better job and to step forward in a better way.
We signed up for this knowing what we were walking into. And yes, we're here for the long run. Yes, we're more than willing to work with everybody to make it wonderful in here and keep it a resort.
I hope so. I plan to be here another 40. I told that to Steve Deal. I told that to Steve Deal today. He said, we won't need to do our streets again for another 30 years, and I'm not going to be here. And I said, but I am. I will be 97, but I will be here.
Do we have any more questions? Anyone? Okay, again, we have 3 positions that are open this term. We have the positions of Steve Deal, Becca Paulson, and Marie Beshen. You have 4 gentlemen that have given their all the last couple days answering these questions, and they've thrown their name in the hat. So it's now up to you to decide who you're going to vote for and make that decision and vote. Again, I want to thank these 4 gentlemen for all of their hard work the last few days, and again, during their campaigning time. You guys have done a great job as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure the audience also feels that you've done a great job. And I appreciate all that you've done.
Thank you, darling.
I appreciate all that you've done, and I look forward to possibly working with 3 of you this coming year. Thank you.